जिसका नमक खाया है 36 साल, तो हमारे यहाँ नमक हलाली कहते हैं. I had a decision to make. We not only handled them but gave a befitting reply. The police service is not a job. It is not a task. It is tapasya. After 15 days when I would return, perhaps my wife would not be able to recognize me.
So there's another very sensational operation that you led, which is the stuff of lead.
वो कहते हैं हम गलत काम करते ही नहीं, उधर देखते ही नहीं. The district heads of police listened to me very carefully. They were the game changers. But it was a success story that yes, people...
Namaskar. Welcome to another episode of Uttar Pradesh Police's in-house podcast, Beyond the Badge, which attempts to bring to you candid, straight-from-the-heart conversations with veteran police officers who have a trove of rich experiences and sensational stories up their sleeve and many decorations adorning their khaki. Through these interactions, we seek to understand both how the uniform and the responsibility that it came with has helped shape who they evolved into as individuals, and also how their individual backgrounds, values, worldviews, and talents have helped shape their personal brand of policing. Today's podcast, I hope, will make for very engaging viewing, not just for police persons, seasoned and new, but for anybody who is uplifted by the allure of the khaki and seeks to be inspired with the experience of living a rich, full, and tireless life. Because our guest today manages to do exactly that with aplomb. It gives me great pleasure to welcome and introduce a veteran police officer, Dr. Vikram Singh, of the 1974 batch of the IPS, born on the Uttar Pradesh cadre, who rose to be the DGP of the largest state police force in the world before retiring in 2010. Sir has had a storied career marked with high-stake operations, tactical brilliance, and formidable political challenges. His post-retirement life continues to be as rich and meaningful, if not more. Sir serves as the Chancellor to the Noida International University and is a prominent educationist. He also remains to this day deeply engaged with and up-to-date on policing matters. For instance, he was closely associated with the drafting of the new criminal laws and is the most seen and most recognized face across TV channels in every serious discussion on policing matters. We welcome you, sir. Thank you so much for taking the time for this very anticipated conversation.
God bless you, Vrinda ji. Thank you so much for having me over in your prestigious show. God bless you. God bless UP Police.
Thank you, sir. To start us off, sir, tell us a little bit about your background, the young man you were when you thought of writing the civil services examination, what prompted you to do it, and how your family reacted to you joining the police service.
Wonderful question. And I would say that I was born with, I would say, a silver spoon in my mouth. Never felt impoverished, had a schooling that had 3 ingredients: good schooling, caning, cold bath, and bad food. Went to the convent school. English was the spoken language in school, and Hindi and only Hindi at home. It was, in fact, the meeting of the best brains in Prayagraj. We were very close to the house of very important writers like Amrit Rai ji, who happened to be the son of Premchand ji, and also Upendranath Ashk, Harivansh Rai Bachchan, Sumitra Nandan Pant, Mahakavi Suryakant Tripathi Nirala, Firag Gorakhpuri, and we would have Kavi Sammelans and Musharas at home, and it was my proud privilege to serve tea to all these wonderful people. So it was the best brains, and the total focus was a Puritan lifestyle dedicated to discipline, service to the nation, and absolutely no-nonsense approach to academics. Everybody would assemble at 5 in the evening and would study on the same dining table when we would break off for dinner sharp at 8. No questions asked. The boys would get up at 4 a.m., rain, hail or storm, and we were given the best possible. But yes, life for boys was frugal. Girls had a good way of getting everything they wanted to, but the boys were very frugal. I have the fondest memory of my childhood, and I can't thank God Almighty enough for giving the parents that I have.
Sir, I want to rewind you back to the very start of your career. Way back in 1977, you reclaimed tribal land from a politician in Mirzapur. I'm just curious, what gave you the courage to take on vested interests and political henchmanship in your early days as an ASP?
Well, you have done your homework very well, Vrinda ji. I would say that yes, perhaps when your mind is programmed to having a very clear-cut demarcation between what is right and what is wrong, no power on earth, much less any mafia, can sway your decision-making. In that case too, there were very powerful landlords, people who had, I would say, who were vested interest in the area and who had usurped the land of the tribals and were primarily responsible for creating the problem that I inherited there. I had a decision to make, either to reclaim the land back or swim with the tide. I chose the first option. And yes, initially there was hesitancy from the senior officers, even my superiors, much less said about my colleagues and the juniors. But at the end of the day, truth ultimately prevails. Satyamev Jayate.
So you have a reputation for being an operationally very active, effective, and sound officer. So I think we must devote a few questions at least to your most prominent operational experiences. So I want to start off about the anti-dacoity operations. Dacoity gripped the Chambal ravines and Bundelkhand, and you had the chance to take it on head on in its heyday. So can you tell us a little bit about that experience?
Oh yes, I'm very passionate about anti-dacoity operations. After Mirzapur, the first encounter of Bakhedi, then I went as ADC to Governor, and my first posting was SP Rural Area Agra, 40 police stations, and the hotbed and the epicenter of all dacoity problems in the country was Bah, Bateshwar, Khada Rathor, Fatehabad. They contributed to the movement of all the interstate, interdistrict gangs there. D39 Vidyaram, IS34, Balkhan Singh, Madho Singh, Mohar Singh, and the like. And later, Vikram Mallah and Phulan Devi, etc. But yes, we were in fact suitably equipped by the government, although our weaponry was nothing in comparison to that with Madho Singh, Mohar Singh, Phulan Devi, they had telescopic sights. And at that point of time, when we had just 303 rifles, they had assault rifles, they had SLRs, and they had weapons that were far superior. I'd give you the example of one, Bhagwan Singh urf Commander Gang. And Bhagwan Singh was a deserter from the army. He would move with a magnetic compass and survey of India maps, and in absolute silence and in the last word in field crafted tactics, when he had to move in extended order, he would give a signal this way. In arrowhead formation, he'd give a signal like this, arrowhead formation, and then he had the better of the police. And yes, cultivation of informers, good informers, actionable intelligence, because 99.9% of informers are absolutely false and are leading you, and they're double agents. They are in the payroll of the criminals and the dacoits, and they're also in the payroll of our department. So you have to see who is genuine and authentic and who is leading you up the garden path. So it's a tapasya. I would say it is a tapasya. To have your haversack, to have your Laichana stock, to have your gun appropriately zeroed, 300 rounds, and to be in the forest for days together, live off the land, live off the potatoes, mutter, chana, and then have an engaging encounter. And the officers there would sit in the district headquarters, and well, heavens save that officer who would come before the results are delivered. I can give the names also. Very unsparing officer, much like my father, but unsparing when it came to professional department. BP Singhal Sahab, a legend. RP Govind Sahab, another legend. Mr. Tushar Dutt, another legend. And they were so fatherly. Vikram, don't come back till you get the target. I'm monitoring your movement, and if you want anything, I can only give you ammunition just now. Don't ask for manpower, don't ask for any reinforcements, I can only give you ammunition. But yes, when you are on the right path with proper dedication, providence helps you out. But after 15 days when I would return, perhaps my wife would not be able to recognize me because we were in such a shoddy state and unshaven, smelling from a mile, and well, unkempt, dirty, and with all the mud and grime on us. But that was one thing I really fondly remember of my career.
No, so it sounds incredible. And I think many of us who have joined the police in a generation when things are much better, much more peaceful, we perhaps won't even be able to say we understand, because it truly only experiencing is knowing what it must have been like. A lot of our younger viewers may not know that you brought a very unique perspective to crime analysis, particularly dacoity, through your deep study of ecology. You pursued a PhD in ecology while you were serving as SSP Nainital from Kumaon University, and you woven that study in your analysis of anti-dacoity. So tell us a little bit about that, sir.
Very good. I take you back to the days of Sultana Daku operations, when Freddie Young of the IP was pursuing Sultana gang, and he requisitioned the services of you know who? One and only one Jim Corbett. For what? To navigate him through the forest areas on the Tarai of in the foothills of Himalayas, and also to identify the sentries and the watchmen and the scouts of the gangs, because they would so intelligently place them so that they in turn merge in the greenery and conceal their presence, so that it was impossible unless you had the specialized knack of identifying that there is an activity. I say, why forestry? But forestry is one, you would understand when the leaves will be shed, when the crackling noise of the leaves would be when you start marching, and that is sufficient reason to alert the gangs that somebody is marching, and therefore the tribals in the village, they would turn out to be your best friends, because they will feed you when there is no food available in a radius of 50 kilometers. Even if it is such frugal as parched gram or layya or popcorn, and also would tell you from the scent of animals that yes, the animals are running away because of the fact that there is human activity. We did not have thermal images then, but they were our natural thermal images. They would identify, give us the relevant information. But discretion is the better part of valor. The left hand should not know what the right is doing, because one indiscreet action, then your reputation takes a hitting for the rest of your life.
Very interesting, sir. Very interesting. Thank you. Another landmark operation that was conducted under your leadership by the STF, sir, was Operation Majnu, which is extensively covered in the media, against a serial harasser in Noida who used to terrorize women. And it was a pretty covert operation to boost public safety in the area. And I think it's something that is truly wanted by the public even today, with things like Mission Shakti being at the focus of our reach out to women and boosting their safety. Tell us a little bit about Operation Majnu, sir.
Good. The time was during the President's rule. His Excellency Ramesh Bhandari, the Governor of Uttar Pradesh, suddenly calls me up and says, eve teasing in Noida has assumed epidemic proportions. Can you do something about it? Your Excellency, where there is a will, there is a way. And I have never felt helpless in my life. Give me some time. What are the resources? No resources. I'll do whatever I can and I'll give you results. And I'm extremely passionate about women's security. I am never personal about anything except the fact that I become murderous when there is an acid attack and when there is an atrocity on a woman. You'll forgive me for using such harsh words.
So true.
But yes, these are personal angularities that I have. So something with no budget, no force. I've called the local SOs and the local manpower. I'm here for a yagna. Noida kurbani mang raha hai. And let us see what we can do. Please send women police officers and intelligent officers of the intelligence, the local LIU and others. See what are the focal points where these creatures move around. Their timings, their modus operandi. So we got a report in the next 24 hours that there are certain factories, not certain, almost by way of exception, maybe 1 or 2% that were not impacted by the epidemic, but 98% of the factories were, 98% of the colleges were. And the manner in which the ladies and the girls opened out, it was a human tragedy in the making. It was impossible in those times also for them to go to work and come back safe because of the harassment. So I made a very simple thing. Look here, you have an action plan, and the action plan is that how do you identify a Majnu? A Majnu is a creature who wears very freaky clothes, tight jeans, tweaky t-shirts, 3 buttons open, with impossible kind of logo, awara hoon or something like that. You can easily identify that person, that he has, especially when he has no sister, he has no mother working in that organization or teaching in that school. And if he is there sitting in the barber shop or sitting opposite a pawn shop for hours together, combing his hair, doing up his hair, then that is he's a person. And lo and behold, on the first day, we got about 250 Majnus. That was Operation Majnu, which the BBC also covered. The 250 Majnus with almost a record arrest of almost 90% of eve teasers. And when we matched their faces very discreetly, so that no girl or no lady had to identify the person, okay, yes, this is the person, this is the person, this is the person. Then we registered a case. We asked the media also was very cooperative. That these are the people who have been arrested, 294 and other sections of the IPC, indecent representation of Women's Act, etc. And suppose I say, Kallu, Bhonu, Monu, son of so and so, resident of so and so, so and so. And these are the photographs. Full page article came on Operation Majnu. The naming and shaming of the Majnus had a very drastic impact, had a very salutary impact on the situation. The next day, what followed was, it was in peak December, that they would go to the court, and I told them, look here, take them in absolute security. Take them in absolute security so that they're not heckled or harassed by the public, because I'm very conscious about the human rights of every person. But this was one feeling that I failed. The public pounced upon them and smeared and threw rotten tomatoes and eggs on them. And when they came back from the court, they took an oath, and they were Brahmakumars and Brahmakumaris, that never in my life ever I will look towards a woman ever. So I got a congratulations from Singh agency, the wonderful report, the BBC came, everybody came. But I'm sure I took a feedback after 2 months. Whether you are back, old habits die hard. Whether you are back to your monkey tricks, no. These boys have been turned absolute gentlemen, and they have not looked towards that inclination ever thereafter. So that's one satisfaction.
Absolutely, so that's great. So there's another very sensational operation that you led, which is the stuff of legends or movies, quite literally. There's a movie being made on the subject. Omar Syed Sheikh, who was a dreaded terrorist and who's best known around the world for his abduction of the American journalist Daniel Pearl, he in fact in 1994 carried out a kidnapping of American and British nationals, and you spearheaded the operation that eventually led to their safe recovery from his clutches. Please tell us that story, sir.
That was a very gallant encounter. Of course, we lost brave Dhruvalal Yadav, Inspector Sahibabad, one constable, but we were able to safeguard 3 British nationals and 2 American nationals who were kidnapped from Paharganj, Delhi, because they doubled up because Sayyid Muhammad Umar Sheikh was half British and a British national, but he was number 2 of Al-Qaeda, second only to Osama bin Laden. The game plan was to kidnap American British nationals, hold them as hostages, get a safe passage to Afghanistan or Pakistan, and get $5 million. That was the demand. But before that could happen, the encounter happened and the hostages were saved. They had changed. There is also a Discovery Channel entire film on this entire episode, and they had chained them like cattle. And they would soil their clothes, they would ease out there itself, they would get their food and refreshment there also. But the gallant encounter, yes, we were safeguarded. We arrested him, detailed interrogation by the then IG, my IG, Mr. Naseem, myself, and he was a very arrogant chap. I don't know, he had some kind of suicidal tendency or something. At one night, he was a black belter in karate. He switched off all the lights and removed the switches. And when the constable went to feed him, he just pounced upon him and beat him up black and blue. Well, that was the time when the Meerut Constabulary unleashed themselves on him and broke every possible bone. That should not have happened. He was in our protective custody, that should not have happened. But again, like Operation Majnu, this did happen. Well, I'm sorry for that, but he was admitted in the private hospital, and the British High Commission gave a bill of, in the good old days, of 30 lakhs of the multiple surgery that he had undergone. Look, he's your citizen. We only pay what the government PHC will allow him, and that will amount to something around 200 rupees. The rest you will pay. 29 lakhs, 8,000 odd rupees will be paid by you. We'll pay 200 rupees for his treatment. But then you know that Indian Airlines aircraft hijacked, and our External Affairs Minister took Sayyid Muhammad Umar Sheikh, Azhar Masood, and the 3rd terrorist from Kashmir, and handed over him in Kandahar in exchange of the Indian hostages there. And then he surfaced in Pakistan. In Pakistan, he again kidnapped Daniel Pearl and beheaded him and made the beheading viral also. But it was a success story that, yes, people say we are unequal to the task of handling Al-Qaeda. We not only handled them, but gave a befitting reply to all their depredations also.
Yes, sir. And I think you received compliments all the way from England from none other than the Prime Minister of England.
Yes, indeed. He communicated these congratulations and good wishes through the High Commissioner, Sir William Penn, I think. And he communicated, Sir John Major, the Prime Minister, has communicated his good wishes and gratitude and condolences to the bereaved families of Dhruvalal Yadav and the constable killed.
In 1984, sir, following the assassination of the then Prime Minister, there were mass desertions by soldiers of the Sikh faith, and they also caused a considerable amount of violence and wreckage in the units where they were serving. And you also took on one such group of deserters. So please tell us a little bit about that too, sir.
Vrinda, it was the case that Mr. Bholanath Tiwari, the then Principal Secretary Home, said the police is not equal to the task of containing, apprehending, or accosting these army deserters because they are far too young. They are either in their late teens or in the early 20s. Their weaponry is all automatic. You are unequal to the task. Don't take them on. I went to the police and said, we are going for an operation. We are going because I feel that it will be an insult to me that in my charge, they managed to cross Eta and reach Delhi. So those of you who are willing, please come. Those who are not willing, no questions asked. Please don't come. I did get 10, 12 volunteers. We accosted them. And then, for whatever reason, when the Almighty tries to bless you, or He does bless you, miracles do happen. And the miracle did happen. All 80 of them surrendered without firing a single shot. We tied them up because we were just about 12 or 15. How we managed to tie, that's a different long story. But that again was a ruse, that was a deception that we created, that you have been surrounded from all sides by the CRPF on one side, BSF from the rear, and the ITBP on the front, and we are in front. Surrender right away, or we will smother you right here. We'll finish you right here. And probably they took the bluff and they surrendered lock, stock and barrel. And you could see the truckload of weapons that we got. The army commander came in his chopper, Mr. Prakash Singh, of course, he also flew down to us to compliment even the DIG. And he said, Vikram, I'd like to send your name for Padam Shri. I said, please don't. Please don't, sir. This is something that we did out of something that I think I owed it to my department and to the prestige and dignity. Please don't do that. But the rest is history. I think I got more than anybody could have rewarded me satisfaction that these boys were arrested, the recoveries were made, and Mr. Prakash Singh wrote that this is the most sensational, outstanding, and the massive recovery that the police has ever made in the country.
So with such a daring and successful tenure behind you, what would be your pearls of wisdom for field officers, particularly district heads of police?
The district heads of police, listen to me very carefully. When you roll up the roles of father, mother, and guru, then you have a superintendent of police. Roll up the role of father, mother, and guru. Please see to it that you wipe the tears of every destitute and every aggrieved person. I have had many happy occasions, but the spirit of Anand, bliss, comes when you have the satisfaction that you've been able to help somebody in distress. And let me tell you, God has chosen you to be in a position where you really matter. And when you really matter, you are one person who really matters. I will not comparison with any other rank. But yes, when it comes to authority and removing anguish, agony, you are the last stop in the district. इसको कहते, somebody said, हमें इबादत करने की तनख्वाह मिलती है. You are paid to be karm yogis, and then policing as an SP is a full-time job. It does not have, you cannot have the luxury of having being part-time activities also. Just too bad about it. But yes, policing is a full-time job. For the 35 years, my 25 I spent in field policing. I did not know which cinema came, which cinema went, which hero came, which heroine went. But I do know where the mafia would go for a shave, where is his girlfriend, what is his famous whiskey, where is famous, the most popular liquor went, where he'd go and when. And my success rate is %, not 99.9. But that is the commitment and focus you have to have. Focus. Do not be distracted by digressions. Too many officers are perhaps engaged in the social media activity and being chief guest. It's good to be on social media. It's good to be a chief guest. But that should be like something like a chutney in your thali. It should not become the main course.
Sir, I now want to fast forward to the very end of your career, where your tenure as DGP was cut short by the then government and you were abruptly removed and posted to the Home Guards Department. Can you share a little bit about that, sir?
Everything. By a little bit, everything.
Sir.
When you have a no-nonsense approach, you may or may not have friends. Rest assured, you will have many adversaries. They don't have the moral courage to confront you face to face. But yes, if you would see that after I left, there was a major scam in which a minister also went to jail. A minister also went to jail. A few senior officers also went to jail. I will stop at that. But also, there was a dismal showing in the parliament elections. And you know what? The same gang, the same special, I would say, the special interest group, they said, we would have got a better showing. but the DGP did not cooperate. Excuse me, what do you mean by cooperate? I can only guarantee one thing, and that is free, fair, and transparent elections, nothing more and nothing less. And if you expect that I would be privy to anything that is devious, well, you have dialed the wrong number, one. And people at that level perhaps do not expect this kind of a conversation. Perhaps one is the custom says, Tomeva Mata Chapita, Tomeva, Tomeva Banduk, then it's a different story altogether. Now I come to the fact, the debacle of the elections, the scam in which I told the powers that be and everybody that you are quoting the recipe of disaster. Again, he said that he is one person that every time we have something looking for us in the horizon, he puts the spanners in the works. So either you say you have a choice to make. And when I joined as the DGP, my late batchmate CM Bhatt said, you have become the DGP Vikram, you have never been on sides with anything that is dishonest or dishonorable. Today, even if you have to remove after 24 hours, go away, but don't be privy to anything that is dishonest or dishonest. I remember late CM Bhatt and said, though my head be bleeding, it will be unbowed. I will never compromise with the basics. It is better to be an honorable ex-DGP than to be a servile and a supine sitting DGP. That was a choice that I took.
So thank you for being such an incredible role model and for proving that one's courage and conviction and good judgment can prevail above all else, starting from the first day until the very end.
One last one. Am I a loser in any manner?
No,
You said that you could have retired. So what?
Sir.
Do you think I could have looked myself in the mirror that said that you compromised with this nonsense and your unrealistic and immoral expectations? ये कहते हैं हमने गलत काम करते ही नहीं उधर देखते भी नहीं हैं.
जी सर, बिल्कुल सर, बिल्कुल. Sir, I now want to switch over to a slightly different theme, which is that back in the 2000s, you initiated the establishment of cybercrime units. And way back then, you started warning against the threat of Chinese devices, dating apps, etc., when it was hardly on the radar as it is today. So I'm just curious to know what made you anticipate the magnitude of these threats so many years back. And do you think, sir, that today our cybercrime policing is up to speed with what is required?
Vrinda, we have miles to go before we sleep. We have made a very good beginning. A beginning was made when I went to Agra to inaugurate the cybercrime workshop there. And also that we had such wonderful boys and girls from the IITs in the IPS. They were the game changers. And we realized that today cybercrime may not be adequate. It was only the credit card frauds that we were worried about. But the credit card fraud was absolutely loose change. When today, just imagine that the entire dacoity of the Chambal areas, Madhav Singh, Mohar Singh, Phulan Devi and all others would not translate to 200 crores in the banditry of 150 years. But cybercrime alone in Haryana exceeds 1200 crores. In Karnataka, 2000 crores. And the magnitude of the country, it is absolutely crazy figures. Therefore, cybercrime, for banditry and dacoity, you have to have weapons. Then there's the chance of getting killed in a police encounter. Cybercrime, there are basically zero implements. SIM card, a mobile instrument, and the basic devious mind so that you become a predator and catch up upon. Now, the beginning was made, but I could make out then that the potential, already drug dealing, rave parties, the dating apps had begun. There was a lot of talk of Chinese implanting certain devices. In every device that they were exporting to India had a chip that would monitor our movements, our choices, and they would have data. And today, what is what? After so many years, we realize that data is knowledge and that knowledge is money, and that will be able to control a population because of that data. So I did forewarn that the dating apps, the drug dealing through apps, the rave parties, but now cybercrime has assumed enormous, epidemic proportions. You'd see that at one point of time, these cyber calls, cyber threats, like getting calls from the ED, from the CBI, and other such, like the pandemic, it is difficult to find a single family which has not been a victim of this kind of either sextortion or this kind of a crime, where the people from CBI or it supposedly say that you have been involved in the transport of illegitimate drugs, etc. So now is the time to wake up. But to your question, are we prepared? Yes, we are prepared to a very great extent. And I thank and salute my young officers who are tech savvy, because my generation would not be the type perhaps to give any meaningful contribution, but we are also fast learners. You may recall that there was a time I had gone for a particular interview, and after the interview, I did very well. The lady interviewer said, "Okay, sir, would you be so kind as to make out a 5-page report on an MS Excel sheet of what we have discussed?" Because she couldn't make out that I was absolutely computer and IT illiterate. And then she said, "Madam, I can move a tank, I can't move that mouse."
I can't believe that, sir. I don't believe that. So with the latest Kumbh drawing to a close and an unprecedented number of worshippers, devotees making a pilgrimage for the dip, places like Ayodhya, Varanasi, Chitrakoot also being saddled with unprecedented crowds. Crowd control and mammoth bandobasts are emerging as the most regular and perhaps formidable challenge for Uttar Pradesh police. So I'm just curious to know what you think about whether we are doing enough, whether we are doing the best we can, and how we can be even better prepared.
Vrinda, you have run the extra mile. I'm so proud to be part of the UP police family, because comparison should be between comparables. I've been a part of multiple Kumbhs. My first posting was in the Kumbh. That was about all. That was the Mahakumbh also. We had the visit of the then Prime Minister and everybody. But I would be on horseback from 3 in the afternoon till the next day, till the bath was over. That was very tough, very demanding. But you only had a very select crowd coming for the bath. Today, again, I would say it is difficult to identify a single family that has either not come or some member has not gone for the Kumbh.
Absolutely.
62 crores is akin to the entire Europe plus Bangladesh and Pakistan.
So
it is no ordinary feat. And what the UP police has been able to do, duly complimented by the Honorable Prime Minister, what bigger testimonial will there be to the prowess and the performance of the UP police than the certificate given by no other than the Honorable Prime Minister. I compliment the DGP Prashant Kumar ji, ADG Kumbh Bhanu Bhaskar ji, DIG Kumbh Vaibhav Krishna, and everybody who has been able as part of the support system. And now to say that the Kumbh is restricted only to the Sangam, no, sorry. Now the Kumbh goes right up to all the 7 tributaries that come towards Prayagraj, include Ayodhya, include Chitrakoot, include Varanasi. And now when you're planning for the Kumbh, please have a status paper or white paper. Next, when you have, you please cater to the adjoining districts so the crowd movement is identified either through helicopter, which we have done earlier, through drone technology, and see to it that when there is free passage and movement of the crowd, then you allow the other entrants to come and have a bath. You did that, and I'm sure you will be able to do it better and work upon it. You have done so much, but prepare a worst case scenario. You know, when the small incident happened, something that we criticized also for the tragedy that struck us. Of course, it's a tragedy. But yes, let us see what more we can do, how better we can do it. But the fact of the matter is that what you have done is a miracle. And indeed, when you have God by your side, everything is Mangal hi Mangal, Kalyan hi Kalyan.
Sir, as you know, the Uttar Pradesh police has also recently carried out the largest ever recruitment drive for a 60,000 strong constabulary. And at great effort, this has been a very transparent drive, and we had about 50 lakh applicants. So that goes to show that we have managed to perhaps recruit 1% of the top talent that we could from this pool of applicants. At the level of the constabulary, sir, how do you think we can retain their zeal and their analytical edge and increase the accountability and responsiveness of the constabulary?
Wonderful. They are such a wonderful talent pool, and in such large numbers. Gone are the days when our constabulary was akin to class 4. No, they are police officers. When they were 10 pass or 10 plus 2. Now we have graduates, we have LLBs, we have LLMs, we have BTECs, we have MCAs, and now you'd be happy to know that 2 constables and head constables from the Noida police are doing PhD in cyber crime with us. So with such a rich talent base, I think it will be a waste of time, a waste of manpower if we were to use only for menial work and very basic work. No, we don't require them. Please identify the talent in them, their aptitude, their managerial skills, their HR skills, and see what they are best at and they are keen to do it. And then identify them, give them the task they're good at. They're those who are good at data programming. There are those who will be with their IT skills. There are those who would perhaps do community policing, collect intelligence. You must have seen that beat information registers. There are those who do excellent beat information. And there are those perhaps who would do documentation work. Identify the talent, groom them, would be wonderful exercise in capacity building of the 50, 60,000. And I must compliment you. This was praised right across, even in Government of India. The task which the UP police has done, a transparent, error-free, and not a single allegation of malpractice, that you have been able to carry out an exercise, mammoth exercise of recruiting 60,000 constables in one go. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Sir, you're a regular commentator on various TV channels. I'm just curious to know what you think of how media scrutiny has evolved over the course of the many decades that you've been in this space.
Media scrutiny is something that, as Napoleon had once said, if I had a platoon of riflemen and a journalist, I would handle the journalist first and the platoon later. That was Napoleon many hundred years ago, maybe in 1810 or 1809. Today we are in 2025. Media has its own value and its own nuisance value also. More often than not, integrity is something of a myth as far as media is concerned. They are out to have your pound of flesh. Irrespective of the fact, I would say that when, for the first time, I was invited by an English, a very prestigious channel. You know what? I would really like to interview you just for a minute to see if your diction, pronunciation, and you are equal to the task of coming on our prime time.
My goodness.
And today, the same channel and most of the channels are akin to a fish market. They can put a fish market to shame. The class, the quality is very much pedestrian and crass. But then they are a necessary evil, and I have to live with them. We have to live with them. Therefore, give them what is due, inform them, and most of them would be ready to put your view across. But if they are intent upon stabbing you in the back, do whatever you can to defend yourself. But don't go after them hammer and tongs, and don't have a fetish that what they can do. We say that yes, with malice towards none, but firmness in the right. We'll do what is right.
So just to take it a little bit further, what gives you the gumption to still remain so deeply involved in policing, to be such a tireless commentator and such a staunch defender of the UP police against brickbats?
God be my witness, all of you like my sons and daughters. जिसका नमक खाया है 36 साल, तो हमारे यहाँ नमक हलाली कहते हैं.
जी सर.
जिसका नमक 36 साल खाया है, जिसका नमक आज भी खा रहा हूँ. I am true to the salt, and I am loyal to my department, fiercely loyal to my department. Therefore, if anybody were to say that the police has done this, I know police is just not capable of doing that. I feel if somebody has stabbed me, and if somebody stabs me, there will be consequences. This is exactly what I do in terms of my interpretation and my statements in the press, because again I have to say, जब चमन में थी जरूरत तब खून दिया हमने. जब बाहर आई तो चमन ने पूछा तेरी जरूरत क्या है. जरूरत अगर है तो ऐसे हजार लोग खड़े हैं आपकी तारीफ करने के लिए, आपका अभिनंदन करने के लिए, and to tell you that you are the best.
Sir, who would you say has been the closest witness to this rich journey of life, professionally and personally, who has most absorbed the charged emotions and the ups and downs of your career?
My parents in heaven, I have no proof. My wife, yes, even today.
Sir.
Not a single meal without me, even if it has taken her 24 hours to wait for me, although my instructions were, please don't wait, please don't wait. And her prayers. Again, somebody asked Abraham Lincoln, you are the most popular president. What is it? Your personality, your speech? No, my old mother praying in the corner. My wife praying for me, I think.
Oh, beautifully said, sir. Thank you. Finally, sir, as we close this podcast, the last thing that I'd request you to do is give out your message to police persons across ranks, and particularly those who are serving in cutting-edge roles in the field.
Police service is not a job. It is not a task. It is tapasya. And as a tapasvi, you are entitled to all the respect, but there are a few things that are not meant for you. A flashy lifestyle, an ostentatious lifestyle is just not meant for you. You are supposed to be a sadhu inside out. कहेंगे साहब आप बातें बहुत कर रहे हैं. I have been the DGP. I belong to a community. I don't believe in the caste system. I don't know what the taste of liquor is like. I have never smoked. I don't drink, and I have never touched liquor ever in my life. What talk of that? I have never even tasted that. You have to be frugal. And to tapasya, Janta is Janardhan. Mahilaएं are Matra Shakti. Children are Bal Gopal. It is your pious duty to serve them in thought, word, and deed with all your capacity. This is one opportunity that will give you anand for a lifetime, keep you on a spiritual high for a lifetime, and then be the best where you are, because what worked yesterday will not work today. work on yourself, increase your skills, work on yourself so that you become indispensable for the department, and service with the capital S.
Thank you so much for such an engaging session, for such beautiful answers, which truly felt candid and straight from the heart. We pray for your good health and for your indomitable spirit to remain as it is, and for you to go from strength to strength and keep serving as such a stellar role model for all of us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Vrinda. God bless.